Right.
I think somebody tried to get in touch with you, Andre, to defend himself.
Who's trying to get in touch with me?
I think the opposition leader.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
He's trying to call you there.
Okay, well, Mr. Opposition Leader, you're welcome. You can give us a call right now on the 451-7260. I'll look out for your call. As soon as it comes through, I will certainly put it in. You can call us, 451-7260. Leader of the opposition. Let's see, that's him right now. I'm Charlie. Hello. Good morning.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm well, sir. How are you?
Good, good.
Do us a little favor. Just turn on the volume of your radio, please.
Yes, I'm doing that now.
All right, beautiful.
Hello. Good morning, Andre. How are you?
Good morning and happy New Year to you and your family.
Yes.
All right.
To you as well. I hope you enjoyed your little break.
Yes, I certainly did.
I'm glad to hear that.
All right.
And your first day, you have to be facing Charlie. We're sorry for you.
Trust a politician.
Yes.
Trust a politician.
Mr. Chastain, your friend, you hear your friend? That's your friend. Okay, sir. Yes, we'd love to hear what you have to say.
Well, first of all, I want to join your voice in really sympathizing with the over 300 people that have lost their lives, and certainly to their loved ones, their friends. It's a horrible situation. Sadly, it's something that's being felt globally, none of us really had anticipated what we're confronting, and it's just so sad to see what's taking place. And the worst part of COVID, Andre, and I think you know that, is the cruelty, not the pain of the death, although I have to imagine any death is painful. The pain is really the separation from the family.
Mm-hmm.
And at a time when families really come together, when you know that somebody's going to be dying in your family, and that time that you can spend before they die or being there while they die, is a very powerful emotion that we've all been robbed of when that's happening. And I don't want to just say it's about sympathizing, because to sympathize you must first be able to empathize. And I think all of us have been through that process where we've had a loved one who has lost their life, and going through that time when you're literally listening to every breath that they're taking, thinking that was going to be the last breath, holding their hand. And those words that you share with each other before a person passes are words that stay in our memories forever. And these are treasures that are being denied of so many people. And that's where I see the cruelty of what this is. And I don't think we should ever forget that. And so I don't want people to believe that we're just simply saying our sympathies. But I think that we all empathize with what they're going through. And even the process afterwards, Andre, in recovering the body, the bureaucracy, the caution that has to take place, and then now having controls in terms of the number of people that can even attend the funeral. We can't even give them the kind of send-off that we all would have become accustomed to in our society and in our culture. So, again, my deepest sympathies to all those persons.
Before you even continue, Mr. Opposition Leader, I just want to bring something to your attention. The current administration is saying that things are a lot different now, because during your reign, we didn't have the Delta variant, we didn't have the Omicron, so things are much different. What is your take on that?
That's total nonsense. I mean, we didn't even know what COVID was. Look at the number of people that died globally. The fact is that with very little information, we undertook protocols to protect lives and eventually livelihoods. I mean, initially it was all about lives. We sacrificed our livelihoods in that we shut down the country for almost a 6-week period. The reality is how it spread, it's the same way. The same protocols apply. What's disheartening with this government is that they had the evidence of 18 months of management of COVID in a very successful way. I mean, when you look at the fact that in the first 18 months, there was 80 deaths or 88 deaths and 5,500 cases. Since then, in 5 months, 1/3 of the time, they have 230 deaths, more deaths, and that they have 11,300 cases that have been affected. And even right now, the government knew going into the Christmas season that was a potential for a mass spread. But they took no precautionary actions. And now they're comforting themselves in the fact that only 30 people, or as of a week ago, 20 people, were in critical care. The reality is we saw the same trend in other countries where we saw Omicron spreading and that we didn't see the number of hospitalizations initially. But since then, Andre, look what's happening in America. Look what's happened in the UK and Europe. And look what just happened in Mexico. Mexico was saying the same thing. And 3 weeks later now, they've had a significant increase in the number of hospitalizations. The reality is nobody has a blueprint on exactly how COVID works. All we do know are the precautions that we can take to prevent the spread. And it requires very decisive leadership. It requires strong leadership. And it means that you must really genuinely believe in what you're saying. The balance between lives and livelihoods, Andre, is that if you overemphasize lives, it's going to come at a very heavy cost to livelihood. Because if you overemphasize lives, the better thing is for everybody to just stay home. That's how you're going to protect every single person and make sure that there are very little deaths or infections as possible.
But what do you think? Sorry to disturb. But what do you think the incumbent can do now to bring down those numbers? Because if you're saying that the same applies, the same protocols, and the numbers are increasing, so something must be different.
Yeah, the reality is, if you remember a couple of months ago, I took time to actually send a letter to the Prime Minister. I made the letter public where it outlined what we did. And it's very simple. If you're going to find that balance between lives and livelihoods, if in fact you start getting too high of an infection rate, you know that it's curfews and you know that it's alcohol. So it's not sufficient to say that you're going to outlaw or ban mass crowd events. You have to follow it up with the liquor, because the liquor creates more social interaction than the protocols really allow for. That's the reality. And then you have to have consistency so that people know what the protocols are. Right now, nobody even knows what time the consignment is. It's too inconsistent. And the reality is, if in fact the government had taken the precaution earlier in the Christmas season, we would have minimized what's going on. Now, you cannot tell me that you think that going back to school is important if you didn't do that. You cannot tell me that you think that livelihoods are important if you didn't do that. Because those are some of the sacrifices that we have to be able to make for our long-term benefit. The reality is now we're at 3,300 cases. I'm telling you that in 18 months we had 5,500 cases. They're almost 2/3 of that in one period, far less in 18 months. So if you're going to follow a science, I would say to you that the science of my administration was substantially more effective than what is currently going on.
So if I understand you correctly, sorry, you disagree with the reopening of physical classroom classes?
No, I believe, and we believed in our time, that kids are actually safer at school. What we think that they have done wrong, Andre, is that the communication has been very bad. So if in fact you're going to say we're understanding that we have a very high case load right now, and that what we're going to do is to deal with school by school and tell parents what the protocols are going to be. At what level, nobody's reporting how many teachers have been infected, nobody's been reporting how many students have been infected, and nobody's saying what their government is doing. So the key here is that you must give parents the confidence that they can send their kids to school. It has been a disaster. And so I think that the intention is a good intention, but I think that the execution of what they've attempted to do has been piss poor.